Hello my lovelies and welcome back to Sundering Tarot. This is your new moon in Aquarius reading. This is good for the 8th, 9th, and 10th of February 2024. We'll be using the Journey to Oz and Wonderland by Mystical Madness Tarot. That is our main deck here. We also have the Soul Cats Tarot, Believe in Your Own Magic, and we have the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle we're going to use to clarify. So let us go ahead and jump in and see what is going on for you guys this new moon. Alright my lovelies, you're going to get into your overall energy for this new moon. And this deck that we are using as our main deck, the Journey to Oz and Wonderland, does have additional cards. And we do have additional cards on the table. In fact, our very first card for your overall energy is an extra card. This is the Empath. The Queen of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles. The Chariot. The Lovers. And the Sun. Which, that's not too bad. We have 7 cards and we have 4 major arcanas because the additional cards in this deck are additional major arcanas, which is quite lovely. Means the energy is quite strong as well. Alright. Believe it or not, our intuition, our gut feelings, our instincts, and how we feel about things are actually going to be what prompts us to move forward, to look for connections, to make things work, putting things together, planning things out, and therefore probably getting things done. Okay. I kind of want to say this is the self-made man kind of energy, which is really interesting. And no, this is not a gender-specific reading. It's not a one-to-one reading. This is for the collective, so it's for everyone. So, man, woman, excuse the phrase, but you're the self-made person. You're letting your heart space, your intuition, your gut guide you to move you forward. And hopefully that will lead you to the happiness that you're wanting to create or achieve. Okay. Alright. What do you guys got for me for the overall energy that you guys would like to add? And yes, for those of you who are still curious about the decks, I will list them in the description box down below. So feel free to expand that. There will be a list. Raw energy. Oh. You're gonna make me work for it. There it is. They gave it all at once. Okay. And they gave us quite a few, actually. We have 6 for the overall energy. What they would like to add. Bitchfire. Stand up for yourself. So if you're having anyone naysay you, or having you doubt yourself, or holding you back in any format, yeah, better shut them down. You know, there's no room for haters. Flower, be honest with yourself. Yes. Coming from the heart space. You got to be honest with yourself. You have to love yourself. And if you're wanting to go towards something better, cheerier, brighter, to build your future, you kind of have to be honest with yourself of what that is. And how do I get there? How do I get there? What steps do I need to take? So don't be surprised if, I don't want to say hard truths, but some minor epiphanies happen. Tree, let them go. Oh yes. And for those of you that are talking about love in this instance, or friendships, there might be some that have to absolutely be left behind. Okay. For those that have tried something and failed at something, sometimes we have to reprioritize our expectations or how we get from point A to point B, how things should look, feel, and come into being. Yeah, sometimes we have to let go of those limitations, those expectations. Why? Because they're holding us back. Sometimes you have to move where the energy is, not try to railroad your way through it. Which brings us to our next card, expectations. Don't seek anyone's approval. Yeah, beware the haters, the naysayers. And that comes from yourself too. Remind yourself that negative self-talk is probably not the best thing to pay attention to. Castle, it's time for healing, not war. Yeah, it's time to make things better. Make things work in your favor. And you shouldn't have to fight everyone around you just to have your little sliver of happiness. And you shouldn't have to fight yourself. Universe, we're all just stardust. Yeah, everything's connected. So when you tap into universal energies, the universal flow, things become easier. You don't have to fight so hard because you're moving with the energy. And it's time to really pay attention to those nudges, those intuitions, those aha, those little synchronicities that catch our eye. Because they're trying to lead you to the right space, the right mindset, the right direction to make things easier. Okay. Which one do you want first? Okay. Anything else to add for the overall energy before we proceed? Oh, we have the Eight of Swords in the reverse. Letting go of those limiting beliefs. The Page of Pentacles in the reverse. The Three of Wands in the reverse. And the Ace of Swords also in the reverse. Okay. Okay, some things you gotta remember to keep. So when we say let go, that doesn't mean let go of everything. This is not like we pick up the kitchen sink and throw it all out the window all in one go. No, some things have to stay. The things that are working. The things that need to go are the things that are not working. So be careful what you throw out. You gotta know what to keep and what to let go of. You might cause a secondary issue if you throw out the wrong thing or get rid of the wrong person. Yeah, and letting go of those limiting beliefs, those expectations, whether they're from yourself or others, but of course are not helping you by any means. Getting rid of that acknowledging them, identifying them, of course, is sometimes confusing. It's confounding sometimes. Just remember to be nicer to yourself. And because we do have the empath here, a reminder to my fellow empaths, observe, don't absorb. So if it ain't yours, it's not your responsibility, don't take it. You don't have to. Alright, overall energy. Let's see what else they have for you before we move on. And it does appear that once you get in the right energy, things start to move. I mean, we don't have the Chariot here for nothing. It does... You do have momentum. It's just getting to the right space. And I do have 3 cards on the table for you for your overall energy, and I have been instructed, because this is a different deck, to read out of the book for you. So apologies, this may be long-winded. We have Hypnos. Prioritize rest and sleep. Allow yourself to dream. You need the grace of rest to be at your best. The unconsciousness has the great depth and power, so explore it if you can. Use your imagination. Do not stay asleep to your potential. Awaken to your power. Duality. Sleep, awake, rest, activity. Opposites. In this busy world, people are having more and more problems with turning off and getting some quality rest and sleep. The ancients, though, knew how important sleep was. How it is even a crucible for processing ideas and invention. Hypnos was the Greek god of sleep and was born from Nyx, night, the dark mother. A twin, he was often pictured hand in hand with his brother Thanatos, which is death. Often the brothers would shadow each other in their work. While featuring in a number of myths, Hypnos was generally seen as a benevolent and relief-inducing deity and honored for his place in a well-being and health. Temples to Hypnos were often constructed in sanctuaries and healing places. The Greeks also recognized that, too, much sleep could be a symptom of depression and lethargy. Continually disconnecting from the world by slipping hand in hand with Hypnos may well mean you are depressed or lacking in energy, both situations for which you should reach out and seek professional assistance. In one story, Hera bribes Hypnos to practice his arts on Zeus so that her favorite Hercules gets to make yet another outrageous escape. This is about as naughty as Hypnos gets. In this case, he receives a beautiful bride for his trouble, so worth it. In our modern lives, there is also another time that Hypnos' favor should be courted, and that is in anesthesia. If you are undergoing anesthesia. What? Anastasia. Oh, okay. This might be for somebody who's named Anastasia, because I've tried repeatedly to say Anastasia, but it came out Anastasia, and I never do that. So, okay. So Anastasia, if you catch this, if this is for you, you're having an operation, yeah, please take note. So while you're undergoing an operation, why not give a little libation to Hypnos prior to the procedure, as is traditionally Hypnos who will be guiding you. Yeah, the guiding hand while you are under an anesthesiologist, as they artfully send you to a painless sleep. Plant companion is the poppy, and the crystal companion is howlite, for those that would like that information. Okay, interesting. And coincidentally enough, they did give us his mother, Nyx. The dark is necessary. It is a place of possibility and rest. It is natural and beneficial to experience some cycles of darkness. You can illuminate your way through dark times. Not everything is unpleasantly evil. Duality. Dark. Light. I'm sensing a theme. Okay. The embodiment of night is the goddess Nyx. She was one of our primordial or original deities emerging at the very beginning of the universe. Her fathers were Chaos and Orphanus, one of the oldest of the gods. She fell in love with Eberus, darkness, and created Ether, light, and Hemera, day. She self-created the infamous three fates, as well as Apate, deception, Delos, Nemesis, balance and retribution, and Ceres and Hesperides, Orestes, Momus, and the Honorine, or nightmares, Hypnos, Thanatos, Philoctetes, Geras, Eris, and Charon, which is the ferryman of the underworld. In the Orphic tradition, Uranus, the god of the sky, also a child of Nyx, she is often referred to as the Dark Mother in Greek mythos, elementally a first goddess who began many other important deities. As she is one of the oldest and strongest of the Greek deities, she even the mighty Zeus is said to not to provoke her. And I will eventually put my tongue back in my mouth. Apologies. I found that funny though. After angrily chasing Hypnos into Nyx's cave, after being tricked by him and his own wife Hera, Zeus would go no further than the entrance. Looking at most of her progeny, it would be easy to think that Nyx is evil, or that her darkness could have a negative judgment. Nyx should not be viewed this way. Winged and beautiful, Nyx is simply the night. No judgment on whether that is better than the day. Paradoxically, she creates light and day. She brings balance with Nemesis, Philoctetes, and Ceres. She brings rest with Hypnos and Thanos. Nyx just represents the darker nature of how the world works. Plant companion is the night blooming jasmine. The crystal companion is onyx, for those that would like that information. Yeah. You might be in a dark space. Maybe either, hiding or overdoing things in the wrong way. It's searching, I don't want to say vainly, for light. But there seems to be a little bit of a theme here with the duality. And we have Charon as well. Rest with Hypnos, darkness with Nyx. We have receptivity with Charon. Okay. You must find balance in the acts of giving and receiving in all ways, but in particular in your give and take with the earth. You must learn to reciprocate. Duality, giving, receiving, acceptance, rejection. When someone died in ancient Greece or Rome, a coin was placed either in the mouth of the dead or upon their eyes. This was an important part of the ritual of death, because without coins, the recently departed could not pay the ferryman. Charon was the ferryman of Hades, the son of Eberus and Nyx. His responsibility was to ferry the souls of the dead over the rivers of death. So he is what is called a psychopomp, a guide of the dead. The two rivers he worked were the Styx and sometimes the river of sorrow. These rivers separated the worlds of the dead and the living, so it is important that the newly dead were able to journey across safely. Also, Charon ensured that no dead traveled back the other way. Charon was also responsible for ferrying certain heroes and gods who were alive and had a task within the underworld. For example, Odysseus, Orpheus, Hercules, Dionysus, and Sisyphus were all ferried by Charon, but not dead. None of them. This was an inherently dangerous journey for the living, with many perils, including falling into the waters themselves. The river Styx itself is highly magical and deadly and lethal to new souls and people who were alive. If anyone bathes in Styx and survives, everywhere the water touches on that person becomes invulnerable. This is how Achilles became almost immortal after his mother dipped him in the Styx, all except for the heel that she held him by. That small exclusion was his downfall, and he was shot by an arrow on that spot. What happened if the ferryman wasn't paid? Some myths say that the souls were left wandering indefinitely, but most suggest that there was a 100-year penalty until souls could come to Charon and be taken across to the realm of the dead. The acts of reciprocity and the payment of Charon's labor and care became an important act in a respectful care of the dead. The plant companion, for those that are interested in it, is the poinsettia. The crystal companion is Larimar. Apologies, that did take longer than I thought, but my ancestors wanted everything read out of the deck. Apparently, that information is valuable in part or in whole to someone. So that's what they ask for. That's what they get. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next section. All right, we covered our overall energy. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to our blessings. All right, we start off with the High Priestess, the Seven of Cups, and the Eight of Cups. Okay, this is why we had Let Go come up in our overall energy. One of our blessings is actually to get answers, insight, synchronicities, those little nudges from the universe, guidance, which gives us options, choices, pathways, different ways of doing things to where we can move on, leave things behind, let go, keep moving forward to get where we need to go. Okay, so you definitely probably want to pay attention to things that come up. Sorry, wrong deck. If you start seeing angel numbers, you start seeing things like feathers, or you keep saying the same word over and over and over again because you're getting answers. All right, we have the Devil, the Hangman, and the Queen of Cups. Clarifying, yes. Out of all those obstacles, we're now having a new shift in perspective. And yes, sometimes our empathy, our psychic gifts, abilities, ancestors, etc. are going to help us shift that perspective. It's not going to always be internally for all of us. Not all of us are an empath, don't have to be, but we all have a spirit team. And coming into alignment with that spirituality, to hear the universe speak, is literally our blessing. It's there to help us. So, ask and you shall receive. As cliche as that is, but somehow that seems accurate for this particular new moon. Oh my gosh. Okay. We have sun. Plant the sun back into your sky. Yeah. Time for a change. Goes with that hanged man that we have. Gotta shift perspective. Gotta move on from the hard times. Or as we had in our overall energy, moving towards the sun. Dragons, slay them all. This is that devil card. And if you have anyone who's trying to stop you, naysayers, etc., yeah, you can leave them behind. You can get them out of your way. Literally. You can just pack your bags with everything you need and, well, leave them behind. It's okay. Alright. Alright, anything else you want to add for blessings? That was not nice. That was me having butterfingers. Alright, let's try that again. Figures. I heard a comment and I didn't lift my thumb enough. Blessings for the collective. There it is. Okay, and just like I did with the previous position, I'm going to read these aloud. Oh, that's nice. Sorry, I just looked at your very first card that they gave you. And it is the Kraken Mystery. It is good not to know everything. Great mysteries can fill you with wonder. And this is a very positive state. Be curious. You do not have to share everything with everyone. You can be selective about who you share the minuteness of your life with. Value your privacy. The duality. Seen, not seen. Revealing all. Mystery. Yep, whatever you're toggling through. In a world where we think we know all and see all, a little mystery is a good thing. It is impossible to know everything, although you would think you would have an advent of social media, that we have indeed seen everything about everyone. In the ancient world, even the world of a few hundred years ago, there was indeed great mysteries afoot, and many of these belonged to the deep blue sea. The Norse sailors, not just the ancient ones, but right up until the 19th century, reported sightings of a great beast of the ocean with a cephalopod shape, destroying their boats and even bindings on the shorelines of islands during great storms. This creature was referred to as the Kraken and was greatly feared because it could rise out of the deepest oceans without warning. No one knew when or where the Kraken would strike. This gigantic sea monster was the bane of sea travelers and fisher folk from the coast of Greenland, the North Atlantic, and right through Scandinavian waters. Some sailors were so afraid of it that they wouldn't even utter the word Kraken without the fear of this would indeed summon it. In the Icelandic saga, Over I'm slaughtering that, I'm so sorry. It mentions the Kraken. It says, "Now I will tell you that there are two sea monsters. One is called the sea mist, the other heatherback." Okay. The heatherback is the largest whale in the world, but the sea mist is the largest monster in the sea. It is the nature of this creature to swallow men and ships, drag them down with its arms, and even whales and everything else within reach. It stays submerged for days, but then rears its head and nostrils above the surface and stays that way at least until the change of tide. The appearance of the Kraken resembles a giant squid. The huge suckers and tentacles were often described. So it is thought that perhaps the sightings indeed were just that. Huge, giant squids. Some descriptions, though, included spikes on the arms, huge teeth, and so not quite what a usual giant squid would look like. The Kraken reflect the unfathomable and wild nature of the sea and its unpredictability. The plant companion is a fir tree, and the crystal companion is olivine. Okay. I do like the artwork on the card. And we have one more card. We have Freedom, Selkie. You can only pretend for so long before you must find truth again. Seek authenticity. Containing yourself in a form that is not your own is rarely successful long term. Find what sets you free. Acknowledge your inner truth. Be aware someone may be deceiving you under false pretenses. Duality, containment, freedom, pretense, authenticity. I will eventually get my tongue back in my mouth. Selkie mythos is shared in places where the sea is truly dominant force and where colonies of seals live, like the Shetlands and other Scottish Isles, the Faroes, Norway, and Iceland. I have personally read and listened to a lot of stories about Selkie since I have a kin bloodline that is Selkie central. The mythos of the Selkie was something I dreamed about since I was small, and there were many versions of the Selkie mythos, but most involve beautiful, haunting imagery of female shapeshifters, women who live in the body of seals, but who transform into enchanting women who appear human on land. A typical Selkie story is of a human man who watches a Selkie playing in the cove. She, at times, he observes, comes ashore for various reasons, dropping her skin and shapeshifting into a woman irresistible to him. When her land business is complete, she steps back into her seal skin and returns to the wild oceans that is her home. The human man falls in love with the Selkie woman and decides to wait for her to next transform from her seal form, and when she does, to take possession of and hide this seal skin. If a Selkie seal skin is withheld, they cannot return to the ocean. Unable to find their sealskin, Selkies are adrift in the human world. They become reliant on the kind human man who takes care of them and who begins to teach them the human ways of things on land. Often the Selkie and the human man marry and even have children. But the wild heart of the woman is, of course, wedded truly to her life in the sea. She wants to go home. She yearns for her true self. Eventually, the Selkie finds her skin and is reunited with her authentic form. Without a backward glance, she steps into it, allows herself to be enveloped by her true shape once again, and re-enters the aquatic world. Some stories tell of a Selkies coming back every now and again to visit their children. Some say they never, ever return to the world of men, who contain them under false pretenses. And yes, there are male Selkies reportedly too. Incredibly beautiful in form and very seductive. It was said that these Selkies looked for lonely women to fornicate with. Lonely fishermen's wives were said to be ideal targets. Rarely was there a story where a male Selkie was parted from his skin like the females. So male Selkies seem to have avoided the trap of being made into someone's unwilling husband or lover for a time. Again, it seems human women and Selkie females get the raw deal. The essence of the Selkies is the idea of triumph of authenticity over pretense and containment. Also the deep pull of the wild self. After all, if the Selkies got their true skins back, they did not hesitate to leave the human world behind, and that included even leaving their own children. Plant companion is the bladder wrack. Crystal companion is the opal. High Priestess. Receiving answers, guidance, authenticity, connection to one's true self and source. Or in this case, source helping you come back to yourself. To find your way out of being stuck. Yes, our devil card. Containment. I like it. Alright. And now we're going to go ahead and jump into our obstacle. Alright, and our obstacle, we have an additional card, the Messenger. The Witch in the reverse, also an additional card. The Empress. And the Knight of Cups in the reverse. Yeah, we might not literally get the message. It may fall on deaf ears when it comes to making our world a better place, being able to create. It's that roadblock. We have source, we have answers readily available. That is our blessing, the High Priestess energy. However, we may not be able to tap into it. We may not be paying attention. The message may come out and be right there, and like I said, it falls on deaf ears. There's too much white noise, there's too much distractions, there's too much not believing. All those signs, synchronicities, messages, and ideas from source, or our intuition kicks in high gear, and then we shut it down. We would rather not pay attention to it, or we have other feelings about what we're hearing, what we're being told, or being directed to, that we don't heed it. We either don't see it, don't understand it, ignore it, so it doesn't compute. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, not that one. All right, not that one. Apparently we did that one well enough. They don't want tarot to clarify this position. So, all right, what else do you have for me then? And right onto the floor. I'll be right back. Okay. Not sure which order this came out in, but we'll take it. They both landed on the floor scattered. Gold. You don't need someone else to fix you. Yeah. And shark. Swim away from this situation. Yeah, these two cards wanted to come out together for a reason. The choices are all yours. What direction you go in is all yours. You don't need someone else's approval or permission. And if something is uncomfortable, then, like I said, leave it behind. Let them go. For some of you, relationships are ending. And yes, that might be romantic ones, simply because things don't work, things are unhealthy, and someone is probably making you feel bad about thinking of abandoning that connection, even if that's what needs to happen. You gotta remember to take care of yourself first, for whoever needs to hear that. And yes, sometimes we get comfortable, we get used to certain things being a certain way, and we forget to give ourselves permission to do what's best for us because we've put someone else first. And that's a roadblock. We can shut ourselves down that way. And a lot of us, let's face it, if you have had a romantic life, like ever, you've done that at some point. Nearly every single one of us has. So don't feel so bad. Okay. And they have given us a card. Depth. Shadow. Seek balance. You are not complete if you ignore the more hidden parts of yourself. Have compassion and curiosity about your shadow side. Be curious about all parts of yourself. Ignore your shadow side at your peril. Make friends with your shadow, as it has much to teach you. Duality, depth, shallowness, darkness, light. I am a part of you. Ignore me at your peril. I could be the making of you, yet I am seen as a devil. The light shines hard upon us, and a shadow we cast, not to be ignored, but explored till the last. The psychoanalyst Carl Jung introduced the modern concept of shadow to refer to the hidden and repressed aspects of ourselves. Often we deny these parts instead of integrating them because they shame us or make us seem less perfect. The less we acknowledge and integrate these shadow parts, the worse our lives may become. Unconscious patterns are made conscious by purposely seeking them out and observing how they play out in our everyday lives. After all, unless we know something is there, how can we fix it? To make friends with a hidden part of ourselves that we often repress or are afraid to reveal makes us whole. We see the true self and not just the bits that others can see. By choosing to see the depth of ourself, warts and all, we can perhaps experience a richer, more divinely led life. Seeking depth enables us to see more, be more, love more, have more. Plant companion is the mandrake, and the crystal companion is black obsidian. Yeah. Yeah, I still get the feeling that some of us are refusing to leave an unhealthy relationship. We've accepted the status quo and we've told ourselves that that is what we deserve. Part of that might just be a comfort zone. Some of that may be some abuse of some format that is showing. And that could very likely lead us to ignore insight and knowledge that we already have, or keeps resurfacing and pointed out to us that it's time to move on. Alright, my lovelies, we are now going to get into our advice. Alright, our advice. We have the Ace of Wands, the Six of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles, followed by the Ten of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Cups. I do enjoy this Ace of Cups, by the way. Followed by the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups, and the Four of Cups. Okay. Yeah. See, we know how to make ourselves happy. We do. We truly do. I mean, that hasn't changed. How to make ourselves happy. Just because we don't know what way to proceed to make ourselves happy doesn't mean we don't know what makes us happy. We actually are capable of putting plans and things into action and chasing our joy, our happiness, the things that we deserve. Happiness is able to return and have it be something not only worth it, but supportive, caring, nurturing, something that is worth holding on to, something that is definitely fulfilling, that is not just temporary, but is very much for the long haul. Something that's not a fleeting moment, like when we take a bite of chocolate and our brain says, oh, we're happy. No, we have the capability of making things happen on a bigger scale. It's just whether or not we take the time to slow down, get silent, listen to what is happening around us, becoming aware of the issue, and contemplating going, okay, does this make me happy? Does this not make me happy? Am I in the right spot? Am I not in the right spot? Do I need to cut something out? Do I need to add something in? Am I leaving something behind, or am I taking something with me? We are quite capable of pairing what we need and what we want with our reality. We can create that. It's just getting us in the right mind frame to tap back into that. In the past, we've realized we were happy. We knew we were happy. Right now, we may not be so much. It's just getting back to that past vibration of happiness and realizing that's a place that we can have again. That's a place we can get back to. Maybe it'll look different. That's fine. That's totally acceptable. And by all means, yes, it should look different. Things are not going to be the same all the time. Things are constantly changing. Things are constantly moving. Growing, expanding, contracting. This is how the universe works. And right now, a lot of us on some frequencies are not connected properly. But we can fix that. We can fix that. We can so fix that. So yeah, sitting with ourselves and the universe, our spirit team, just taking a breather, and onto the floor they go. I'll be right back. And taking a breather is something that is beneficial to us. Sort things out. Okay. I want to keep this on. I'm in a basement and it's kind of chilly. First card we have here is Princess. You can be your own knight. Yes, you can forge your path wherever the heck you want. Which means you can get back to that place of happiness. Or you can just demolish it all and create someplace new. This isn't one size fits all. Can only have it one instance, one moment, one certain way with one person when it comes to happiness, joy, anything else that we enjoy, want, keep, etc., desire. It's not how that works. Which justice is coming. Yes, balance, which means a return. And we have the Six of Cups on the table. Yes. Sometimes we all have to have crappy moments to pay karma, karmic justice. But at the same time, there's always a moment for karmic rewards. Remember, Wheel of Fortune, the wheel is always spinning. You're not always going to be at the top, but you're not always going to be at the bottom either. Just like the solar system, around and around we go. But we can help that move forward a little bit, and that's what we're getting at. And that's great. Okay. Ooh, that was quick. We have the Five of Swords. And we have the Three of Swords. Yeah, all that chaos, conflict, all the unhappiness that we've been experiencing, the roadblocks, we can fix that. We can fix that. That is within our power. This whole Ace of Wands that we have right here says you can do it. You just have to get clear. You have to sit there and think about it. Identify it. Get used to it in a way that you know it intimately, whatever the problem is, in order to find a solution to regain your footing, your grounding, break through your obstacle, and return to that state of happiness. Or if you already deem yourself happy, because apparently somebody in some format is telling me, "What? I'm already happy, Celeste." Well, guess what? You can be happier. Or if you're already happy, did you ever think that maybe you could just expand? Add more. There's always room for more. Everybody thinks that there's this limited abundance thing, and there's not. Okay. See how long this one is. Oh, yeah. It's like 2.5 pages worth. Guardian. Cerberus. Develop strong and healthy boundaries. You should respect the boundaries of others. Not all the places or people are for you or should be available to you. Exercise and expect a loyalty. Duality is guardianship, abandonment, loyalty, and dishonesty. At the gates of the underworld there lies a huge hound. He yawns. 3 yawns, for he has 3 massive heads. The hound sniffs the air and turns languidly to see his master Hades walking towards him. The hound rises and struts and happily rubs each of his 3 heads on his beloved master's body. His spiked tail wags. Hades pats the head of his guardian at the gates. Knowing all will be well, Cerberus is watching. There is a saying that we don't deserve dogs. And I for one believe this is a fine truth, even if we are speaking of the hound of Hades, a hellhound. Cerberus is possibly one of the most written about dogs in any ancient world and appears in many stories, not just featuring his master Hades, but many Greek heroes. He is a dog with a job. He guards the gateway to the underworld to ensure that none of the dead leave the realm. The most well-known myth about Cerberus is the story of him being taken from Hades by the hero Hercules as part of his 12 labors. Hercules killed his own wife and children after being made temporarily insane by the goddess Hera. After visiting the temple of Apollo at Delphi to try and work out how to make amends, Apollo instructs him to go to the king and serve him for a decade. The king hates Hercules and wants him dead, so he sets 12 increasingly impossible tasks for Hercules to complete. After Hercules is successful on the first 11 labors, the king decides to set him an impossible task of bringing back the hound of Hades to him as the 12th labor. Hercules has Hermes, a psychopomp that is as a figure who can guide in the underworld, and Athena to help him. Hercules enters the underworld at one of the known entrances at Cape Tyrion and proceeds to find Hades. In the earliest myths, Hades and Hercules fight for Cerberus. It is said that Hercules shoots an arrow and wounds Hades and subdues the hounds with chains, dragging him to the surface. Later myths suggest Hades agrees that Hercules can take Cerberus with him, but only if he is able to subdue him without a weapon. Hercules wraps his lion skin around the dog to hold him and then grabs him by each of his heads and squeezes him until he submits. Once at the surface and at the temple of Demeter, Cerberus is startled by the sunlight and vomits venom and foam bile all over the flowers at the exit, giving the plant its poisonous nature. He struggles mightily, and Hercules manages to exhibit the hound to people in the cities along the way. Hercules is wisely criticized for this because of his lack of humility and excessive pride. Finally, Cerberus is presented to the king and the labor deemed successful. Some say Hercules took Cerberus home, but more popular is the accounting that, like all good boys, Cerberus found his own way back to Hades and never left again. Yeah. I will say each and every single one of us kind of have to guard our own happiness. No one is responsible for your happiness. It does not stem from someone else. You are responsible for that solely on your own. You are the guardian of your reality. So why not make it one that you love, enjoy, have happiness in, want to explore and be a part of? Hopefully that's enough of an incentive for everyone to realize areas where perhaps they need a little work. Alright, my lovelies, we are to our last placement here, and that is the unexpected. Our unexpected. We start off with the devil. Let me go to the Queen of Wands. The Three of Swords. The Four of Swords. And the Five of Swords. believe it or not, all the obstacles, all the things that's been bugging us, holding us back, suffocating us in some ways. Okay, interesting word. Okay. Pressures inside, outside, all the things holding us back or have been a roadblock, believe it or not, is actually what's propelling us forward. It's going to be what inspires us, motivates us, gets us actually up off our butt and moving and tackling the actual problem. Why? Because it's been made so uncomfortable that we're like, screw this! We're leaving. Peace out. We gotta be somewhere else other than here. And in this case, you realize it's not a good place to be. It's not conducive to happiness, growth, expanding, or just that feeling the freedom that you desire. Funny how that happens. Obstacles, light, fires underneath you, and it clicks. That, okay, this hurts. Don't like it. Alright, we're going to go over there and leave that chaos behind. Not going to deal with it no more. So in some ways, yeah, some of you are going to put your foot down. Whereas maybe you haven't done that before. And it's finally because certain things have reached a breaking point that you're not having it anymore. And interesting that that comes out. We have villain. You can always rewrite the story. Yes. You have full control over this. And pain is there to shape you, help you grow. And yes, you can move around it, go through it, change it. Take charge. You don't have to put up with it. And that's basically what it breaks down to, is that that's going to eventually motivate you to move on. Gold. You don't need someone else to fix you. No, honey. You are showing up as the Queen of Wands. You can light your own fire. You have your own power. And now it's time for you to regain your own power, your own motivation, your own light, your own happiness and joy. Instead of giving that away to other people, sometimes it's good to keep that for ourselves. And apparently, now's the time to maybe think about keeping some for ourselves. Alright, we have the Chariot reverse for our clarifying first card. The Nine of Cups. The Ten of Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles, and the King of Cups. Yeah. Yeah. Hoping, wishing, dreaming, wanting that elusive, better future, and having it not just show up or being so slow moving, has us literally in a funk with the King of Cups. We're uncomfortable. We're fed up. We're bored. We're hurting. Yeah. Pressure motivates us to move. Realizing it's not a good place to stay. We're uncomfortable. We don't like it. We don't like it at all. It's not worth it. So we move on. We find something more, something better. Or for some of us, we just literally get up off the couch because some of us kind of forgot that we really need... And it's funny that I say some of us need to get up off the couch because this card that just came out, I flipped it over. We had this card already. Rest. Hypnos. In other words, some of us need to tap back into our imagination, but others of us really need to worry about things like depression, sadness, lethargy. Some of us really just need to get up off the couch. Light that fire underneath our bum. And yes, I know they wanted me to read from the book, but we already read that one. So I'm not going to read it again. But that's how it plays in. Interesting timing of that. I say get up off the couch, and there it is. Alright, we have a new card. So this one I will read. This one is Resilience, Scylla. Which looks like a Medusa. Okay. Life throws adversity at you. There is no escaping this, yet building resilience allows you to handle this better. Building flexibility is a key to developing resilience. Righteous anger is not shameful. Sometimes you get caught between a rock and a hard place. You need to make a decision between two poor outcomes to get where you need to go. The duality is resilience, rigidity, and righteous anger, and anger. Most people who know of Scylla were introduced to her through Homer's epic, The Odyssey. Odysseus wants to return home with his men and is told he will have to pass through the straits of Messina, close to two monsters to do so. Scylla guards one of the rough and narrow waters opposite. Another monster in the shape of an inescapable whirlpool. It is said that the two monsters were in an arrow's range of each other, so that if one didn't get you, the other certainly would. So who was Scylla, and was she always a monster? There are a number of origin stories of Scylla, but again, most relate to a woman being jealous of jealous and harming her enough that she becomes monstrous. Is a repeating motif in the ancient Greek world. Before she was turned into a monster, she was a beautiful sea nymph daughter of Aquarius and Ceto, deities of the sea. They were also the parents of the Gorgons. And one myth it is said that Scylla was transformed by Poseidon's wife by placing a poisonous potion into the pool in which Scylla bathed. Poseidon had his eye on the beautiful Scylla, and his wife became jealous. The second myth features the handsome Gladicus, a sea god who fell in love with her, but who she rejected. He asked the sorceress Circe, who he was friends with, for a love potion to assist him. Circe, however, was in love with Gladius herself. Instead of the love potion, she created a drink to turn Scylla into a monster. Scylla then became a frightening creature who no man would ever find pleasing. She developed 6 heads on long snake-like necks, and each of these heads held a mouth of razor-sharp, shark-like teeth. Her legs were girdled by savage dogs, and she no longer had a human voice, but made the baying sounds of hounds. She had a half-crab shell that stuck out the back of the black cave, and cobbled rocks that she was perched upon. Odysseus asked the advice of Circe about the best way past the monsters and surviving. Circe advised that both monsters were terrible and that loss of life would happen, but it was better to get closer to Scylla and lose a few men than to lose everyone and the ship to the whirlpool. Homer writes that Scylla, in Circe's voice, no crew can boast that they can have ever sailed their ship past Scylla unscathed. Scylla was not born for death. She's a thing of terror, intractable, ferocious, and impossible to fight. Odysseus was literally caught between a rock and a hard place, yet decided that battling Scylla would be preferable. He and his crew sailed to the strait where Scylla and the whirlpool were, and knew that death was near. They sailed closer to Scylla, who ran up in rage and slaughtered 6 sailors. 1 man was taken by each of her heads. Scylla remained resilient and undefeatable. In a much later story recorded on commentary of Homer, it was said that the hero Hercules encountered Scylla during a journey to Sicily and managed to slay her. Her father, the sea god, immediately applied healing flaming torches to her body and she returned to life. Again, Scylla rises, righteously furious, to thwart yet another pesky hero. Plant companion is the sea onion. Crystal companion is serpentine. No big surprise, it's serpentine. Yeah, resilience. Each and every single one of us has a bouncing back point. And resilience is kind of, I guess you could say, like a rubber band. You pull it taut, and eventually you let it go, and it'll snap back into place. Correcting. Everything will eventually be corrected. Okay. And in this case, it's you correcting it. You're the one who's getting the motivation. Even if you may not like it at first, or may not accept it at first, you can go for it. You can fix it. It's just up for you to weigh the pros and cons and make the choice. Alright, my lovelies. That was different. Doing different things with cameras. I was requested to do different things with decks. And you saw new decks from me as well. So, love it, hate it. Let me know in the comment section down below or give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. And I will see you guys later. Bye.